How's it, everybody? And a warm welcome to the NFT show. I'm your host, Philip Kalinko, and with me I have Cade Bergman, and together we bring you Freestyle Friday.
Indeed, we do.
TGIF, thank God it's Friday. If you guys aren't yet following this legend, he has his YouTube page, Cade Bergman, George Kingdom. Definitely suggest giving him a follow. I love his videos. I love his content. So, yeah, but by now I think we all know Cade on the NFT show. Let's get straight into the good stuff. Cade, you ready?
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. I'm going to put this tweet out, but I'm ready.
Awesome. So we're going to be doing a market update, a general crypto market update. We'll do a stock market update. We'll then also have a look at the trending projects, and we're then covering a whole lot of news. We're going to discuss the Ethereum Merge, some Queen NFTs that have come out since the Queen's passing. Doodles have allegedly raising 54 million. Did they not? Magic Eden's saying we're going to fix the zero royalty thing. CEO of Disney saying that digital assets are the future. Do Kwon is possibly going to be arrested. South Korea issues an arrest warrant for him. Chicago Bulls from the NBA is getting a whole lot of NFT artists together. Deadfellas collabs with Wrangler Jeans. Is that bullish or bearish? Superare to launch an in real life NFT gallery, and Chipotle, which I know you love, and Roblox are doing something together. So we got a packed show, and I can't wait. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We've got Shania and we've got Louis. Sean, we'll see where it goes, my brother. We'll see where it goes. All right, let's get straight into it. So looking at yesterday's OpenSea volume, 9.8 million. Very, very low on any scale. Definitely seeing the most bearish days that we've seen. If we just check everywhere else, OpenSea currently 13.8 million in the last 24 hours. Magic Eden 3.4, X2Y2 2 million, BlockBay 1.25, Immutable X 782,000, LooksRare 450,000, CryptoPunks 400,000. If you add all of those together, you get to just under about 20 million rand. You can see I'm South African. $20 million in the last 24 hours on NFTs. But I think the possibly the big shock for everybody is how the ETH price has responded after the merge. It's something really interesting. We are going to discuss the merge in depth. But again, like we often see, I do think that this is very much correlated to the macro. And the way that we can see this is by tracking the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and global events. And we can see again another really bearish day on the stock exchange after the last couple of days having further bearish days after the data was released in the States, showing that inflation came in at 8.3% when everyone was expecting it to go down and come in at 8.1%. So I really still feel that this is all linked to the macro, and ETH was pumping because everyone was excited for the merge, obviously by the rumor. The merge went very well, and now it's happened. We all sort of have a bit of, anticlimax feelings, and that pump there where ETH was outperforming Bitcoin so much was really mostly correlated to the excitement for the merge, and now we're seeing ETH come back in line. So that's my general feeling on it, Cade. What do you think, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like a year ago, when there was far less YouTubers, I guess, in the finance crypto sphere. I think after that initial bull run, a lot of content creators were born, and now we're just seeing a lot of the same stuff. So it seemed like everyone basically knew what was going to happen, which is funny because last time there was like a select few people who knew, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're a god," like Alex Becker, Elliot Trades, and all them. But now everyone knows about like what the general gist is. So you're like, yeah, so it's probably going to pump, and then the merge comes, it's going to dump, and there's no surprises there. I didn't really see a whole lot of people that were bummed out after or felt anticlimactic. I saw some people, but I definitely felt them trying to engagement farm, just trying to like go against the grain. I'm like, motherfucker, no, it was not. Everyone was hyped. I saw way more hype about it. Everyone was really, truly happy. They were just like, because people know, like, well, at least if you know what the merge is about, you're like, okay, like, this is a huge dent in the argument against anything. I mean, the issue is, of course, right when everyone was excited about the fact that they're going to be like 99.9% less climate impact, and like everyone's excited about that, then it comes out like, oh, like 2 wallets hold like everything to do with Ethereum, and it's like, oh, it's not actually decentralized. People were like, oh shit, and so that's starting to make me rethink things. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing, but you know, no one, crypto is always random. There's no way to always know what's going to happen. So
for sure. A nice coffee you got there, Cade. Cade went to get his coffee, went for a walk to get his coffee. It's good. You got to spoil yourself every so often, you know.
189, $1.89
to make yourself feel special. No,
I like gas station coffees, dude. I just like coffee that's like $4, coffee that's 89 cents. They all taste the same. I swear to God, There's no difference. So I just get the cheap stuff at the gas station.
100%. All right, let's see what is pumping. Last 24 hours, we've got Renga number 1, Black Box, which is also Renga number 2, The Art of Seasons, which is also Renga number 3, Mutant Ape Yacht Club number 4, Other Deed number 5, Cool Cats, Moonbirds, Digi, Dayaku, Clonex, Mystery Bowl. I want to actually look into this one a bit more and chat to you a bit more about this one. It's quite an interesting one. Bored Ape Yacht Club, Crypto Smidgy, Doodles, and so on and so forth. If we look at the green versus red, is actually the last 24 hours seem to be much more green than red, which is actually nice to see. Quite surprising. Usually when ETH crashes so badly, like 10% in the last 48 hours, we see people get scared. But wow, there's definitely been some decent action here. And it does seem like the higher floor collections have had really good moves, which is great to see. And if we jump onto OpenSea, they've actually changed their homepage, which is quite cool, Cade. I don't know if you saw this.
I did just today, actually. Just saw this today when I was checking out what Renga was about. I had a few people message me last night. They were like, yo, should I jump in this? And I was like, I don't know anything about it. And at that point, it was way less than it is now. So yeah, I just didn't do enough research.
Renga's been building for quite a while. I actually did do a review on it quite a while ago. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting project indeed. Dirty Robot is a really well-respected artist. There is a bit of FUD there that I've been hearing in the Renga ecosystem. Apparently, the developer had the keys to the metadata, and they fired someone on the team who had those keys, and now he's refusing to give them the metadata. I don't know. That's a fact. I have heard that from a reliable source. However, when I say I don't know, is I don't know how serious that is. I think that they should be able to sort it out. But yeah, that's the FUD that's going on there. But this interesting one is the Samora Mystery Bowl. So this is really, really an interesting project, bro. Have you seen much to do with this one?
Dude, I don't know where these new projects come from. It's like all of a sudden there's like all these random projects in the top 10, and I'm like, where did they come from? Like I must be looking in the wrong places because I'm not finding these new projects as much.
Exactly, bro. And there are some really, really good ones that have come out. A lot of them with VC funding as well, which seems to be the new meta in that I'm seeing. Is like anyone that's VC funded is getting pumped at the moment, and it's easy to understand why. Because on the positive side of VC funding is that it's less likely that team is going to rug. They're now answerable to people who have invested in them. Also, the VC guys, the notable ones, of which this project also has a notable VC investor, are not going to invest in your project if you meet with them on Zoom in a mask. So you know that the VC funders have met the founders. The founders are real people, and that seems to be the latest meta. We've seen Gaku really, really pump after they mentioned it. Even Doodles, which we're going to talk about later, which you actually mentioned it a few months back anyway. We saw that pump, and we've seen various pumps because of it. So this one's the same. They recently got $20 million raised in VC capital. The things I really like about this, you've got a very small collection size, 2,000, which is always bullish. Owner distribution ratio under 50%, but climbing. I have been watching this for the last couple of days. You've got 670 ETH volume traded, and we'll go to activity as well just to show you. It's only been out for 4 days. And you've got that 670 ETH, which in this climate is incredible, sitting at a floor price of 0.6 or just under, best offer 0.51. You know what I've been, another indicator of mine is depending on how close the best offer is to the floor price, usually shows short term, very short term, in the next couple of hours, what direction the price is going to go. So when you see a project with a 0.59 floor and a 0.51 offer, that's about 8%, which is pretty standard. So it might stay the same. It might actually drop a little bit. But if that best offer was 0.58 or 0.57, that typically is showing you that that project is pumping at the moment. So that's been a nice little indicator for me, because, you know, OpenSea never used to show this best offer thing. And I have noticed that when they close together, like 0.57, 0.58, 0.56, that means short term. Next couple of hours, it tends to be on its way up. So that's just a cool little bit of alpha. So this project is by Atari. So I'll just take you here, 27,000 followers. So it's a game project. It's by Atari, who we all know, the gaming company, and VH Studio, right? So you've got, again, sort of the Web 2 and Web 3 coming together. It was originally going to be a 3,200 collection, but they capped it at 2,000, which is more bullish in my opinion. And they are developing a whole lot of games. But these guys, the backers were the guys behind Zrun. You remember Zrun, that horse game?
Yep.
That very OG project that did incredibly well. That's who is behind this project, right? And I think that's also why guys are so bullish on it. The mint price was 0.75 Ethereum. So you can see it's and it has 10x. It went to 0.75 and has pulled back slightly.
Wait. What was the mint you said?
0.075.
Oh, I thought you said the mint was 0.75. I was like, what the fuck?
No, but the floor did hit 0.75. So if you had sold at the top, it was a 10x.
Wow, Jesus.
But now it has pulled back a bit. But definitely interesting. A good team behind it. VC funding already had a successful game in the space in Zrun, and one that I'm watching closely. You know, if this was a normal bull market, I would be buying even at this point, because like medium term, I think it's a good buy. In this bear market, and especially now that we're seeing that it's an extended bear market and it's still going to be an extended bear market, I'm just so hesitant to pull the trigger. I've seen, bro, I was looking at the Renga ones, the avatars. I was looking at them at 0.1, thinking these are going to pump. And then they went to 0.15, and I thought if it was a bull market, I would buy. And now they're like 0.5 or something stupid, bro. And there's been a few where usually I'd pull the trigger, but I'm just being so cautious. And I think rightfully so. But I've definitely missed a couple of opportunities because of that, you know.
Yeah, dude. It's I saw a comment, I think it was on Farouk's tweet about Renga earlier today, and they were just like, man, they're like, we're whacking moles here, but there's like 700 moles on the table and no one knows what any of them are. Like, it's so random. There's projects that deserve to pump, in my opinion, that should be higher or valued higher, whatever the floor, that are just doing shit all. Nobody knows, or nobody cares. I don't know why it is that some projects just catch attention. Like, I don't know if it's a certain 7 or 8 whales that are all in a group chat. And that's how it works. Cause I know I'm in, seeing, there are group chats like that. So like, we know that for a fact. It's just weird to me, like how that all works. It sucks sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that Renga shouldn't have pumped. I'm just saying, like, it's crazy that you don't know who's going to pump. In a bull market, everyone's kind of pumping. And if it's half decent, it'll probably do okay. But it's just weird. You'll see a project that should do well, and it just gets completely clobbered.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what I used to do to find good projects early? I used to, there's obviously been a whole lot of different metas that changed the way I do it. But the latest thing before this bear market was I was watching the gaming companies. So the big gaming investors, and if they ended up investing, then it was like a bullish sign. So now what I've started doing is I've started following the VC funders.
That's smart.
Because this is the meta that we're seeing, and they usually will tweet it first before the project tweets it, or at the same time, or whatever. So usually the VC funder tweets it and then the project retweets it or whatever. So you get a little bit of a head start there. Obviously, there are guys in the know that know this deal is going through before it actually gets announced. And that might be where you see the floor go from 0.01 from point 1 to point 2. And then there's a lull and it stays at point 2. Then the announcement comes out and it jumps point 6, point 7.
Right.
So there's definitely a bit of in the know there, but following those VC investors is really, really a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
So that's what I've started doing.
And you never know who's going to do it too. Like randomly, it'll just be like a normal PFP project, and it's like boom, partnership, and you're like, what? And then it's like boom, 12x overnight. You're like, what?
The other thing is that we're seeing some projects sort of announce VC funding and they don't have it. So that's an easy way to just, you can set up and buy another Twitter account, call it ABC Investment, and copy them in a tweet and say, we just secured in our first funding round $50 million from ABC Investment at ABC Investment. So you've got to be careful. And we sort of saw that with Crypto Smidgy. So that one, they retweeted that they had raised like $500 million or $700 million. And then the parent company said, no, that's been raised a long time ago and has got nothing to do with Crypto Smidgy. So they found an old tweet, retweeted it, and said, thank you, we're so excited. Right now, they are under that main company, but that main company is like a search engine company in China.
Not fucking anymore, probably.
No, well, I don't know. They said it was a translation problem on the side of the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem, is that like that's the exact thing that makes people laugh at the NFT space who are not here, which sucks. Like just degenerate bullshit like that, like just straight up lying. I'm like, dude, what are you, 15? Like you think people aren't gonna find that out? It's like, God.
Yeah. But they did have a nice pump. I bought the freaking top of that pump. $700 million on a 3,000 collection.
What did you buy?
Sitting at point 0.3. What a steal! 700 million raised. Are you joking?
Damn, dude.
Fuck me. Ended up selling it at 0.2, and it's now under 0.1.
Yikes.
All right. Latest news. Boom. Proof of stake is done. Cade, what do you think of the thumbnail?
That's pretty funny. I like that. That's pretty funny.
All right, so we did it. We've been listening to you. You gave feedback last week. Yeah. And hopefully you'll appreciate all of them tonight, but we've really taken what you said on board. We respect your social media side very much. All right, let's chat about this. So first of all, congratulations to everyone involved, right? Because to pull this off, such a big thing on a live system, such a complicated thing without any hiccups is incredible. Yes, they did take 4 years of testing. So they say measure twice and cut once. Well, they measured 1,390 times and cut once, but at least they cut once. So I think it's really important to know, yes, there is like a huge power benefit to this. So from moving from mining with proof of work to proof of stake, no one can any longer say that Ethereum is not good on the environment, right? And we're going to look more into that. However, everyone needs to know that this is the first big step in a 5-stage plan of their roadmap, of Ethereum's roadmap. So we've now had the merge. There's then going to be the purge and the surge and the freaking God knows what. They're saying shorting. I mean, these words are just terrible. And that's only going to happen in years and years and years. So this is a massive step in the right direction, but is in no way the end of the race by any stretch whatsoever. So people must know that this has no effect. This particular change of from proof of work to proof of stake has got absolutely no impact on the speed of the network, and it's got absolutely no impact on gas fees. The next stages on the roadmap, in theory, should greatly increase the capacity of transactions and greatly reduce the gas fees. This was not that. This was simply a move from proof of work to proof of stake. So that's the one thing. The other thing that we got over here this was, and I saw this because in South African time, this happened at like 8 in the morning. Most Americans were sleeping, but I was around and I saw this tweet because I follow Vitalik, and it was really cool. I mean, it was really surreal. He says, and we finalized. Happy merge to all. This is a big moment for the Ethereum ecosystem. Everyone who helped make this happen should feel very, very proud. That was his tweet as it went through, and I really liked it. I got quite excited.
You know what it felt like?
I was
gonna say it felt like I've done a couple podcasts with like the Dapper Labs and CryptoKitties guys, and they're like one of the first ever NFT things, and they were just kind of like at the beginning of everything, and them telling the story of what it was like doing the CryptoKitties thing before NFTs were a thing. It kind of feels like that in the same same spirit of like we're early at something, like this is a big thing. Like people don't realize how big of a thing this is. This is like quite possibly the biggest event ever in the history of crypto ever, besides like the birth of crypto, you know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I'll tell you something, I saw like, because he tweeted that, but then I was on a call with a whole lot of developer guys, like celebrating with, sort of sitting with them all watching it together. And they were saying, no, it's going to take about 15 minutes from now to make sure it does go perfect. So yes, the main trigger was pulled and it went through. And then after like 15 minutes and everyone confirmed, yes, it's perfect. ETH was about 1,650, and I thought, I almost FOMO'd in. I thought, oh, it's going to run. It's going to run. I was, and then I held myself back. And I think it might have run if the NASDAQ was good that day. But the NASDAQ, that was the day that the figures came out, the CPI numbers came out, and everything crashed. And I think that just took the wind out of the sails. But it stayed at 1,650. It really did. It was like 1,6. It went to 1,650 and stayed there. And then the CPI numbers came out and everything went to shit. So I think the timing was unfortunate as far as that goes. It could have really had a pump.
Dude, I remember I was trying to swing trade ApeCoin when it was like all in the news, and I was swing trading at like $16, $17, $18, sell some at 18, buy back in at 15, buy back in at 16, sell some at 17. I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. The other big thing about this is that this particular change on Ethereum, effective immediately, Ethereum is now deflationary. So instead of the miners getting a portion of ETH, be getting paid in ETH for doing the mining, they are now burning, for every transaction, they are burning some Ethereum, which makes it deflationary for the first time in history. And that's another significant thing about this move from proof of work to proof of stake, which is really interesting and really, really positive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have a look over here, there were just some of the Twitter announcements. Over here, excited about the merge, one of the coolest examples of sustained, ambitious, technically difficult open source development. Congratulations and good luck. No one is talking about it now, but the merge will reduce the need for Solana by 99.5%. I don't know about that. Solana is really doing well at the moment. I don't know enough to comment on that. Yeah, so I think it's really cool, and I was really, really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a little bit of deep down research into like Elrond, Cardano, Solana. Those are probably the only ones I even would... I feel like they're the only ones with like a big enough following to where if I made a video, there'd be any interest or any community around that kind of video. So I'm going to have the guys over, a couple guys who do a lot of stuff in Elrond, and then potentially going to jump into Cardano, but I'm likely going to stick on the Elrond and Solana just because, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a growing meta, and those communities are a lot tighter because Ethereum is such a big conglomerate that there's not really like an Ethereum community. I mean, there is, but like not really. It's so big that that's not really a thing. Solana, you see like Cody on chain, like Cody will do a stream with like hundreds of people in there because it's all Solana people, right? And I think I'm going to do that a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Solana's interesting to me. It really is. Forget like just the pump because of Utes and whatever and DeGods. Ethereum is boring at the moment. There are no the mints, even the good projects that we just spoke about at 0.7, barely minted out. Didn't mint out. They had to cut the supply, right? So there isn't that minting excitement, flipping straight after mint. If I had a bit of spare time, which I really don't, I would love to get to know the Solana ecosystem better.
I'll be making videos, bro. I'm gonna start making some videos on it, just trying to explain it, trying to dumb it down, just trying to figure out what it is. Like Solana is known for their community. Elrond's apparently the reason I'm interested in Elrond at all because apparently nobody likes Elrond. Elrond's like full of people who are building things and creating things. They care about community a little bit, but like Solana is known for their community and degens and people making $10, $20 flips and stuff. Apparently Elrond's all about like innovation. Like people are out there building things actively, and might not be like as exciting, but might be great for like networking and meeting people and building things. So I'm interested to dip my toes in both and just kind of see what the blockchain's about.
I told you, like in the beginning of Perkel, we were doing computers, we were doing gifts, we were doing auctions, and then you see where what sticks, and if more than one thing sticks, then great. But I agree with you; it doesn't hurt to dabble in it. Don't get a fright with the next thumbnail, please. And this is very serious. It pops up quickly. It might just give you a fright, but obviously condolences to everyone affected by this. The reason that we're showing this is because we saw that day immediately a whole lot of Queen related NFTs, which is like typical of the space, right? Even on Merge Day, we saw all the merge related NFT projects. So we saw the same thing. There was actually, quite interestingly, there was a project that launched 3 months ago or so, and their thing was in the smart contracts, when the Queen passes away, they're going to do something. I can't remember if it was they're going to drop the supply or they're going to do something, but they would basically notify that the Queen had passed away, the contract, and the whole thing would have been done. I tried to find it. I couldn't remember the name of it, but I remember seeing it in my news articles. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it, because it'd be interesting to see what that floor price did and what the actual details of it were. But let's have a look over here. So in the hours following Her Majesty's death, people were watching their TV screens. However, for others, this was an opportunity to make money. Within hours, numerous NFT collections, in inverted commas, dedicated to the Queen popped up, and many people in the NFT community had raised some questions about the morality of doing so. Among these collections is Rest in Peace the Queen, Long Live the Queen, King Charles, and even a Queen Elizabeth Yacht Club. Queen's NFT collection.
Philip, go back up real quick. So I just want to bring this up. Part of the reason that I am covering the NFT space the way I am is because I truly believe that it's about the online communities more than it is about anything else. That's why I think the NFT space is going to be so big. And it's the same reason that Elliot Trades thinks gaming is going to take over, because he understands that it's about the culture, not so much about like crypto and like numbers and utility and all that shit. So because of that, I think we're really, really seeing why NFTs are such a big polarizing figure in the space of finance sphere, because we're seeing like Reddit crowd like this, like that's what NFTs are. We're like the Reddit crowd. We're like 4chan. We're like just fucking off on everything. Like the most terrible, degenerate stuff is happening. It's like with this kind of thing, people can keep getting alarmed. Like, I can't believe they did this. But at the same time, like, guys, this is NFT land. This is absolute degeneracy. But the thing is with these are only like a project like this, you got to get in and out within 10 hours probably before it starts to drop. But like these kind of things, I keep seeing people like upset and angry. I'm like, guys, we need to stop getting angry, upset, and like surprised that these are happening. Like we saw Vitalik's dicks pop off and like crypto dicks butt. I'm like, this is just what it is. Online communities don't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes it does make me look at this one here. Sometimes it does make me think, like, what the hell am I doing in this space? Must be honest. Like, when I see a duck with a dick out its ass and all this, I think, what the hell is going on? And never mind just seeing it, but seeing it at a 2.5 ETH floor price, right?
That's true.
Just makes me question what we're doing.
Bunch of rich assholes.
This was the Queen Elizabeth Yacht Club, one of the images from there. Look, I mean, the other positive side of it is that we're not scared to laugh at like anything. Like we find, I'm not saying specifically this situation, but we find humor in a lot of different things. Like you remember that failed collection, Webiverse? No, not Webiverse. The one with Kevin. What was
Kevin
it?
MFers?
No, but what made Kevin famous? Pixelmon. We saw it with Pixelmon. They raised $50 million. It was a complete farce. They gave recycled artwork, right, that was absolute crap. But then Kevin, the one that was the worst out of all of them, became famous. And even within that collection, Kevin mooned. The Kevin in Pixelmon was selling for 2.5. Yeah, was selling for 2.5 ETH, whereas everything else was a 0.1 floor, right? And then you
That's
just
funny.
saw all these Kevin memes coming up, like when Zuckerberg did a picture of his supposed metaverse, someone redid it with Kevin in the background, right? I'm just saying that humor, like, sometimes makes me love the space, other times makes me question it. But yeah, obviously a big event this week was the Queen's passing. And again, our hearts go out to the direct family and the entire UK community, and England and Scotland and Wales and the Commonwealth and everywhere else where she reigned. But yeah, just on the NFT side, I wanted to bring that one to you. I see we got Gaz in the house. How's it, Gaz? Welcome.
What's up?
So Gaz is a fellow South African. And he always watches us at this time. He's probably in bed. He's always in bed. His wife's always sleeping, and he's always got his earphones on. So, Gaz, nice to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Gaz and I talk quite a lot. Really a cool guy. All right. Boom.
Oh, baby.
So everybody's talking about Doodles raising $54 million. Well, today we are talking a bigger news than the raise. They actually tweeted. Doodles tweeted. I mean, Cade, can we just give them a round of applause? It's been 6 weeks.
Shout out.
Now,
Shout out,
I
Doodles.
just want to any VC funders who are watching, if you give me half of that, I will do 2 tweets.
Oh boy. Doodles. I was going to say, just in regards to the thumbnail, the whole background area, blur that like by 25 or 30% so that there's a bit of separation from the characters and the text and the backgrounds, so it's not all like looks like one.
With you.
But it's a really good thumbnail. Besides that,
make the round one a bit bigger and stand out more. And blur the rest. I'm completely with you. Ziggy, welcome. We're just talking about the fact, breaking news, Doodle tweeted for the first time in 6 weeks. So yeah, here's their tweet. I wonder if they tweeted after. Let's just double check that. But we're going to go through this. I wonder if they tweeted after this. Oh, Doodles 2. No, that's pinned. Hold on. 18 hours ago. Yeah.
I'm just glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't apologize, dude. Like they made a pretty mature response. They're just like, look, here we are. Here's what we've been doing. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. We're gonna do a space.
They retweeted. Okay, it seems like someone is retweeting at least, and they did another tweet. So the end of Doodles tweeting has ended, which is great. So I want to say a couple of things here before I go into this. First of all, I'm not beholden to any collection or community, and I always say what I feel. So I'm going to be quite honest, and we're going to go through this. With that said, I actually really do like Doodles, and I really do like the team. And I really do think that they could do amazing things in the space. I've become less bullish on them when they announced their plans to launch a mass scale collection. So they said their duplicator for Doodles 2 is going to be targeting the masses, hinting at the fact that they want hundreds of thousands of NFTs. That for me didn't sit well from a long-term investment. It's a riskier play for them. If they pull it off, they will be the most notable NFT project because they will be the one that brings Web 2 into Web 3. But I mean, you're talking long term, that is a strategy, and maybe they can pull it off. But short to medium term, that's not good. And if you look, one of the founders being the founder of CryptoKitties, which made that same mistake. They made the exact same mistake of putting too much supply. There's over 2 million CryptoKitties or something stupid. The floor price is 0.00001. Yep. The rare ones do sell, but in the end of the for more than that. But in the end of the day, to have so much supply in anything makes demand go down.
This risk that they're taking depends almost 100% on the timing. If they fuck up the timing on this, it's completely over. They will crash to under 1 ETH if they mess up the timing. If they nail the timing, they will crush every project in the whole space. That's why I put them at A when I did my rating NFT projects video. I put them at the top because of the potential upside. But if they fuck up that timing, if there's not enough people in NFTs, if there's not enough people who care, the Genesis collection will suffer so much.
Yeah, and I think the fact that then after that, after they announced at NFT NYC that they're going to be making Doodles to a mass brand, after that, They then went quiet for 6 weeks. And you think about it, they've got the Billboard, ex-Billboard CEO running it. They've mentioned Pharrell Williams, who I love very much. But you start thinking, are these guys really Web3 anymore? Because Web3 knows how important it is to be slightly active on Twitter. And if you're a blue chip NFT project, to be very active on Twitter. And how can you go 6 weeks without putting out a tweet? They came up with some lame excuse that the Burnt Toast, the artist, just the artist, one of his parents was ill. Didn't end up anything bad happening. What does the artist's parent being ill have to do with their ability to tweet? If it was their social media manager, fine, or get the CEO to step in and say, I'm going to be tweeting or whatever. But it's all weird to me. But anyway, this article really rubbed me the wrong way, because they mentioned in NFT New York in July or June, they mentioned that they are leading a capital raise, and they're expecting to raise $50 million. Yes, it wasn't signed at the day, but they made it as if they have raised that money at that stage. So to come out 3 months later and just for the sake of it, sort of, mention it, it was mentioned. It wasn't as big a thing as it was. But I just want to read this to you and tell you my issues with it. So amid generally somber conditions in the NFT market, colorful profile picture maker Doodles has raised $54 million of equity dollars of equity funding today, backed by Reddit's co-founder Alexis O'Hara, 776, Crew Capital, FTX Ventures. That's quite bullish that it's FTX as well, by the way. And 10T Holdings also participated in the fundraising. Doodles, which began minting its pastel NFTs less than a year ago, has created one of the largest profile pictures collections on the internet. The 10,000 image collection has a collective value of $121 million, according to NFT Price Floor. That's my first thing, right, is that's not 100% accurate. But anyway, that's fine. Bored Ape Yacht Club, the leading NFT series, has a market valuation of $1.27 billion. That is false. Bored Ape Yacht Club has a valuation of $4 billion, according to their last funding round, where they raised at a 10% valuation $400 million. That values them at $4 billion, not 1.2. That was before the launch of Other Side. That was before the launch of ApeCoin. So to say here that Bored Ape Yacht Club is 1.2 billion, to make it seem like Doodles is closer to Bored Ape Yacht Club than it actually is false, blatantly false. So that's number one. The Doodles collection is based on 100 visual traits, blah, 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 blah. No two are the same. We know that. No problem. We're all NFT natives. While they can be purchased for as little as 6.9 Ethereum, some have sold for as much as 300 Ethereum, right? Again, the word some bothers me, because there's been 2 sales between 200 and 300 ETH in total. So to say some sell 300 ETH as if it's an everyday or every 2-day occurrence is not correct and upset me. There's more. The rarest examples are the gold coloring, which is the most famous one, which we all know, 6914, is the most expensive doodle ever sold. The company plans to use proceeds of capital, which it says will bring its valuation to $700 million, which basically means that this $54 million is for 8% or 8.5% interest, to expand in music, gaming, NFTs. Fine. Overall, NFT prices and trading have plummeted in recent months, we all agree, after hitting a high of 3.5 billion in May in total transactions on NFTs. Only 191 million was traded in August. We all agree. Doodles, however, has been swimming against the tide. While the collection's transaction value is still down 6.41% over the last 30 days, major NFT collections have been hit harder. Bored Ape Yacht Club is down 40%. Now, that's incorrect. Bored Ape Yacht Club is down 40% in total, from the high of 150 ETH to now 80 ETH, not in the last 30 days. So they're saying we only down 6% in the last 30 days. Bored Ape Yacht Club is down 40%. They don't say in the last 30 days, but they're insinuating that it was in the last 30 days, right? Yeah. So that upsets me, because they're comparing their performance over the last 30 days to Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunk's performance over the last 5 months.
Who wrote this? Who wrote this article?
So this is a Forbes article, but you've got to know with companies like this, it has to be signed off by Doodles. You've got to know that.
Right.
And if
And you
this
and you
came to
pay
my
you pay to get this
yeah,
stuff on
yeah.
too.
And if this came to my, they wrote this and submitted it,
Sure.
in my opinion, or they signed it off. And if this came to my desk and I was the CEO of Doodles, and I'm not, and they're much bigger than I'll ever be and wonderful, I would highlight all of these things and say, absolutely not, this is actually false. And if we're targeting NFT natives, we know that they're all going to call BS on this, right? But because we're targeting the public, let's talk absolute shit. And let's say, okay, we only down 6%, whereas Bored Ape Yacht and CryptoPunks are down 40%, and let's leave out that we saying that we down over 30 days, but they down over 4 months. So that's another thing that I really, really didn't like. So again, they said, and CryptoPunks is down 77%, making it seem in comparison 30 days. Okay, I've made my point. So that pissed me off. Then Caitlin Holloway, founder, partner, and Doodles board member, was introduced to Doodles by Ohanian, early collector of Doodles, but it was after a meeting with SXSW last year that she was immediately drawn into the brand's diverse community. She said, now, as we scale rapidly, whatever. The other thing was their thread on their, so they linked this Forbes article, but their thread on this said, now that we've raised, and I'll paraphrase, now that we've raised $54 million, we're going to be hiring 18 people. We're going to be getting a social media manager. Let me just ask you something, Cade. They sold these duplicated boxes, bro. They raised $30 million from that sale. No, I'm not even talking secondary. Just the primary sale, the secondary on Doodles. They're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. Why do you need to wait for the 54 million funding round to come in before hiring those 18 people that you need to make the business successful? It's almost as if we don't get the funding from an outside person, we're not going to spend our hundreds of millions. They're sitting on a war chest of hundreds of millions. Why wait for this announcement before hiring the correct people on the team? That also pisses me off. So this didn't sit well with me at all. And I know I'm going on a rant, but it really, really didn't. It really didn't. So much so that I sold my Doodle. I'm not interested. At 6 point whatever ETH, I'm not interested. This didn't sit well with me. What do you think?
I can tell you my thoughts on the whole Doodles thing. So I'm going to use Doodles as an example here because all this stuff is kind of alleged just because we don't know who, why, what. We don't quite know everything. We're making some assumptions here. But the idea, we'll just run with the idea that Doodles approves this article. They retweeted it. I assume everyone on the team has read it. They understand that some of the statistics are a bit of a stretch. They're worded in a certain way that would warrant a certain type of narrative around the project. And what I'm starting to realize, and I've noticed this over probably the last month, maybe, and it kind of started actually with that conversation we had at Philip a couple of weeks ago when I talked about that project that I made the video for, and then decided not to post it because they would pay me just to not post the video. And just for people who are watching, I got paid to make the video. I was never going to make the video in the first place, but they paid me to make a review. And then I sent them the review video and said, actually, don't post it. And so I was basically, okay, I won't post it if you just pay me the rest of the money. And I still felt a bit icky about that because it was just weird. And that project has been taken down off OpenSea.
You haven't clarified it. Cade did an honest review in his terms. When someone signs up for him, they agree that he's going to do an honest review. His loyalty lies with his viewers, and if he sees something wrong, he's going to point it out, which I do the same, and I think is very important to do. They agreed and paid him a 50% deposit to do the review. In doing the review, he picked up that there was some what seemed to be wash trading or people buying their own NFTs. And he mentioned that in his video and then sent it to them to approve. And they said, thank you, but no, thank you. Here's the balance of your payment. Please don't post the video.
Right.
So I just want to give a proper.
Thank you. And then, so moving on from that, what I've noticed after that thing happened and my eyes were kind of open to that whole world of this and that and the other, I started to go back to a little bit of the couple of meetings I had in the bull market of just some really, really, really shady situations that I was going to potentially, if they wanted to be part of it. And I just remember being like, wow, I can't believe this stuff's happening, but I kind of forgot about it, brushed it off because we were so busy in the bull market. And what I'm realizing is, and then when we talked about Gary Vee last week about him potentially being early on the NFTs out of a selfish endeavor to sell out VeeFriends and be able to say in a few years that he was the first and blah, 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 started to get me thinking. I was like, damn, anyone who makes it to the top, do any of them are any of them always going to be in the right, make every right decision, be morally this and that? And then I realized that business and morals aren't always the same. Like the right business decision might not be the most moral decision, and the most moral decision might not be the same yesterday and today. It might be two different things. And I just started to realize, I was like, damn, the top people, the top projects, the top everyone, they make decisions that probably aren't going to be the most moral in everyone's eyes. And it just got me thinking, because with this Doodles thing, I'm like, I'm sure that they were probably wrestling a little bit like, oh, well, that's not quite true. They're like, but it sounds kind of good. Like, fuck it, right? Like, fuck it. Like, it's no problem. And I think that stuff happens a lot more than we thought. And it just kind of
I understand it. I understand it from smaller projects, and rather than smaller, inexperienced teams. You've got the previous CEO of Billboard running Doodles. That's a huge Web2 brand, and I would expect more from him. I really, honestly,
but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that because of that, I'm not as surprised that they would potentially do something like this, because I think it's just happening more than we thought.
I'm so surprised. No, because of that makes me surprised. I expected more from a caliber of someone with experience that he has. Really, I do, because these things do come back to bite you. And you've got to, you can even retweet the Forbes article, and you can even say, look, some of the figures were not 100% correct, but overall, the gist of it was great. But to actually put your stamp on something and put it out there, that's, especially in today's day and age, forget NFTs, that is out there forever, as if they made that official announcement. And when someone like me looks at that and knows that they know that that's not correct, it just makes me think, okay, what else are they bullshitting us about?
True. Yeah, that one's tough. That one's
more.
Really hard.
Whereas if it's a 0.1 floor, 0.2 floor, not a Doodles, a project that I know is being run by a 25-year-old guy that I really respect, and yes, I expect him to make mistakes along the way. But here you've got a brand that's sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars with huge Web2 business guys with decades of experience running big companies, putting out press releases that they know are factually incorrect.
Well, is that like the whole thing with it is like, is the way they got to the top similar in nature? Where is that how part of the people that were buying? Like, I'm sure for a fact, all the top projects have had some kind of deal with certain people. Hey, you do this, you do that, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you. You buy this one, we'll send you this. Like MoonPay did with all the Board Yacht Club people. I'm starting to think that maybe all these top projects like Moonbirds, like what warranted Moonbirds? What gave them the right to fucking go to 40 ETH? That was so beyond unbelievable. I was sitting there going, there is zero chance this was just pure luck. Like you don't just go to 40 ETH. You don't break past 10, then break past 20, then 30. That's like not a thing. I'm like, there's no way this is happening. There has to be something extra here, because it's just so bizarre. No project has ever done that before, and no project will probably ever come close to that.
So it was released in the heart of the bull market, number one. Number two, the reason it went there was because they had their proof collection at over 120 ETH at the time. So people were looking at Bored Apes and saying, okay, Bored Apes are 120 ETH, and at that stage, mutants were 30 ETH. And then people were saying,
you're right.
Yeah. So people were saying, okay, this is potentially the one project that can take on Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? At the time, obviously that changes over time, but at that stage, and they were saying, hold on, whereas Bored Ape Yacht Club has got 10,000 NFTs, Proof has only got 1,000. So that can rise higher than Bored Ape, and therefore its sub collection can rise higher than mutants, right? And so that was the general thinking, I think, of the, anyone who's spending 30, 40 ETH on a Moonbird has got a lot of money, is probably paying attention. And that was the general conservative thinking. Yes, they could, if Proof is rivaling Bored Apes, which at the time they were, Moonbirds could rival mutants. Lower supply, also mutants to Moonbirds, lower supply, as good a team, and whatever.
But do you think that with those situations, it's all good decisions everywhere? There's no shady shit going on. Like, what do you think about that? Like, because in my opinion, I'm just roping in this thing with Doodles and I'm just trying to tie into a bigger picture of the most successful projects, teams, businesses, people in the world do shady things every now and then, and that's just part of the game of business. Like, is that part of the game of business to get to the very top? Can you win without making any shady decisions? Is my big question. Like, that's the reason I brought the whole thing up. That's what I'm thinking. Like, the people who don't make it to the top are maybe the ones that are very, very conservative. They're very safe. They're very honest. And maybe that's the reason they don't get to the top,
I think there might be situations where someone has been able to, like, at the end of it at 90 years old, look in the mirror after building $1 billion company and say, I was moral throughout.
Yeah.
There might be, but that's the exception rather than
Yeah.
the rule. So I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you on that. I think for me on Doodles, it's accumulation of those things that I mentioned. Right. So first of all, the huge supply that they intend with Doodles. Two, second of all, going AWOL for 6 weeks and then coming back and attacking people saying, oh, my mother was sick, when he's the artist and not even anything to do with anything. And then recycling news about their venture funding and then retweeting this article, which I think was commissioned, but even not, they retweeted it, that has a lot of incorrect facts that they call in facts.
Okay, all that tied together, I can see that now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's too much in the space of too little time to say, hold on, do I want to see? Even now, 7 Ethereum is $10,000. It's a lot of money. I don't particularly want to put $10,000 into that amount of stuff in a short period of time.
Yeah, I don't have too much of a problem with anything except for that article, because you're right, with all those errors in it, that's a little shady. The other things, like here's another way. Maybe they came out and did this whole long apology. They're gonna get 30% of people saying, "Oh, thank you so much. That was such a mature response," and then 70% of people are gonna clown on them, and probably the overwhelming majority of that are just gonna be like hating on them. You shouldn't have done this. Like, this isn't good enough. You deserve this. You should airdrop us $1 million. Like, that's the only response you get with any kind of online apology. It doesn't work. You cannot. That's why I have my canceled video already filmed and recorded and posted. It's on the internet, ready to go. It's unlisted, but it's ready to go public as soon as I get canceled. Because there's no world where you kind of, okay, if you do something really fucked up and it's actually wrong, maybe you have to address it. But for the 99% of people who are getting canceled, it's something you just forget about after 3 weeks and no one cares anymore. And an apology is just going to make it so much worse for you. So I'm glad Doodles didn't come out and apologize. But this article kind of makes it look, I don't know. I'd love to talk to Jordan again on a podcast or just whatever and kind of get his thoughts on it, or Evan or any of the guys.
If open invitation to anyone who's high up on that team to come and discuss it. I'm open-minded, but as it stands, this is how I feel very strongly. All right, I want to address Ziggy over here. Zuki's always retweets and tweets. I think they have a better community. Do you think the founder rugging still ruins the brand? Okay, so Ziggy, good question. It actually fits in, even though you asked this question before Cade and I were talking about morals of founders and whatever. It actually fits in perfectly. So let's chat about it. So I'm going to start. Then Cade will tell us what he thinks, and then if you want to discuss it further, Ziggy, you can let us know. Okay, so I think it's important to say retweeting and tweeting by itself does not make a good project or a bad project, right? It's one small cog in the wheel of a company, especially a Web3 company. So your social media side is one part of it. Obviously, you've got other marketing streams as well. You've got the day-to-day running. You've got upcoming utility. You've got the financial side. You've got the CEO, CTO. You've got all these different roles that have to come together really quite well in any company, but especially Web3, the social media is very important. So a community by itself with tweeting and retweeting is not enough. That's number one. Number two is we saw the power of tweeting and retweeting. So just to counter my own point with what's that one from, they just released Grumples before then. Goblins. We saw with Goblins, there's no Discord, right? Obviously there's a good team.
There's still not a Discord?
Still no Discord.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. That's funny.
They don't want a Discord. And the problem is all their spaces are people gargling and farting. So you actually never get to hear any real anything, right? But they proved the power of Twitter. And if you use Twitter effectively, and that's all you have, you can build a strong community. So, that's just a kind of my own point. But anyway, do I still think the founder rugging still ruins the brand? I'll tell you, I maybe from what Cade has just said, maybe I'm holding these projects to too high expectation. Maybe I am. So I can just talk on my opinion. I was very interested in the Zuki before I knew who the founder was. When it came out that the founder had rugged 2 previous projects, it made me not interested in the Zuki, and that was a while ago. And I haven't been interested in the Zuki since then. But again, I might have a higher standard. With that said, I'm all for people trying things and failing. I really am. So I think it's also unfair to say because this guy tried 2 projects before and failed, that he can never have anything successful. I'm saying that we can't ever support him. I think the mistake he made wasn't failing. It was not exiting properly, not being upfront with those communities, and not handing over those keys until he was pushed with the Azuki debacle. He should have done better by them, in my opinion. But again, I wasn't in either of those communities, so I don't know how it played out and what it did. So all I can say is, for me, Azuki's been tainted. However, I do hear it. Like, so in the circles that I'm in and in the content that I watch, and there's stuff. I know that there's a drop coming out in a couple of weeks that people are hyped about. I know guys that all they do is buy rare Azukis, and they have spent millions of dollars. So there's definitely something positive going on there, and the guy's still there, and the community's still there. So I'm conflicted about it. Cade, I want to hand it over to you.
Yeah, I have no interest in Azuki. I pretty much exclusively buy projects based on the founder. Not every time, but that's the majority of the reason I buy into any project is going to be because of the people on the team. I don't have much faith in someone who rugs twice. That's just like, I look at that like cheating. You're going to cheat twice. You're gonna get pushed a little bit, and you're just going to give up twice. And then you're going to lie about it and pretend like it didn't happen. And then the only time you do it, that's a rat. That looks like a rat to me. So I'm not interested in the founder. Now, what I will say is I don't think Azuki is tainted at all. I think for people like us, it's tainted, but for the 99%, they're just looking to trade off either the community and the culture around the community of Azuki anime style stuff, or the numbers. They're just looking at the numbers. They don't care, right? So I think Azuki, because of the anime brands is able to transcend the fact that their founder looks like a POS. I don't know if he actually is. Again, we don't know what really happened with those communities. If it was a really, really ugly divorce when he rugged the project, or if it was just one of those, hey, we fucking lost. Sorry.
From what I heard.
If it was ugly, then yeah, I have no interest in Azuki, even if they were at 1 ETH or something like that. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, again, we're saying people are learning. It's a new space. It's interesting. I'm not
going to enter a business deal with someone like that unless they have some real good somethings to bring up in a meeting. For the most part, if I look at a founder like that, I'm like, look, dude, it does not look like you have what it takes. But I could be wrong.
I think in general, and I'm by no means saying that I haven't made mistakes in my business life, or in any part of my life. I mean, we're all human, but I've come to realize, and I've been much more aware of this in the last maybe 10 years, that your reputation means more than anything else in this whole world. That's it. There is nothing from a business perspective. Obviously, the husband you are, I'm saying from a business perspective, your reputation is the most valuable asset or the biggest liability that you can ever have, depending on how you do it. And so there are many times, I mean, today at work, we had a client, they approved the artwork on a job, notebooks. It says in big where they sign, dome sticker with the size of the dome sticker, signed, delivered to the client, not a big client of ours, phones us, why is there a dome sticker? I wanted to print it directly on it. I said, no, but we explained to you when it's a full color print, this particular product can only take a one color. You asked us to change it to a full color. It had to be a sticker. You signed it. No, I'm unhappy. You know what? So my salesperson comes to me with this. I said, ask her please to bring them back. We'll take them off. We'll clean them. We'll do a one color print directly on the notebook. That's it. Doesn't matter. It's not worth it because in the end of the day, whether she's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, we want to be shown as a company that tries to help clients. She's spending a lot of money on notebooks. She's not happy with them. It won't cost me a lot to fix them. I'm going to fix them. So but the Philip of 15, 20 years ago who just started Perkel would have said, absolutely not. Here's your signature. Here it says dome sticker. Right by your signature. It's not a small little thing. It says in big dome sticker. You've signed it. Absolutely not. Feel free to bring them back. Pay us to remove the stickers, pay us to reprint them, and we'll do it. So I just enjoy. I'm saying I've also learned and I've also grown. So on the one side, I'm a sort of forgiving to people in some way who are making mistakes. However, I do think there's levels of mistakes as well. and certain things are not forgivable. And I do agree with Cade that certain attributes show your true colors. So Cade said that if this founder was willing to walk away twice before when the going got tough, he's going to be willing to walk away a third time. And I agree with that.
If Azuki went to 0.2 ever, he would run.
Yeah, he'd be out the window. I agree.
Like nobody could argue that if they aren't sitting like a 10, whatever they're at, 5 ETH floor, if they crash, you will not see that Azuki founder. He will be gone. Yeah,
as quick
Mark
as
my words.
And
just for the record, so we can have this on camera, I think he will. I think Azuki will disappear one day, and I think that founder's going to rug. And I think all these people who are hating,
he'll start a fourth project
on Elrond.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Two instances of the same big thing, like rugging is a big thing. It's stealing. I don't know the details of this particular two, but in theory, that's what it is. Two instances within a short period of time of the same offense. Does display character. Can he change? Like I just said 10 years ago, I realized things I didn't realize. Yes. Do I think he's changed in the last couple of weeks or months? Probably not. I think it takes a bit longer, but who am I to know? Maybe this was a wake-up call for him, and he'll realize in future you can't just
I just think there has to be something special. Azuki doesn't have anything special. They're just riding on the hype that they had. But you look at you look at Oni One Force. You look at I honestly I don't remember all the names. There's been like 25 anime projects, right? They all did really well, and then they all crashed and burned. One of them. Right. So like all the anime projects are great when there's being bullish.
But there's one difference. The success that Azuki saw at the ETH price of that time means they've got a lot of money. So what that means is that if the guy doesn't buy a yacht and an airplane, and he might not because there's other people involved, if he doesn't, there is a lot of budget to do good things with the project.
True. And there are things to do with the budget.
Yeah, and you combine that with a community that in some way has become closer through this, because whoever's left, and I don't know the community at all, I imagine whoever's left, stand by him, understand that he's...
I don't know, man.
I imagine.
Look at Mechaverse. Look at Mechaverse. Look at Hate Beast. Look at Oni One Force. Look at Jungle Freaks. They all had tight communities when the FUD hit, yet they crashed eventually.
Jungle Freaks was different. Of those.
No. But Jungle Freaks, the community that stuck around, they said, "Look, I don't give a fuck. We really love you guys." They maintained the floor for a little bit.
Yeah, but eventually, a tiny amount of the holders in Jungle Freaks stuck around. 99% of them were offended and left. So if you have a tight community of 10 guys with a 10,000 PFP, it's not going to work. If you have a tight community with 100, it's not going to work. 1,000, you got more chance. 5,000, you've got more chance. And they do have a big community of supporters. It's going to be interesting. I personally agree with you. I don't think with what's happened it can sustain long term. I do, and I've said that from the beginning, and there's other videos of me saying it. But I do agree with you. But playing devil's advocate, they've got a war chest. They've got a strong community now. Whoever's left, and so team, community, and money. Those are three powerful ingredients. And if they use that correctly, they could see pumps and whatever. So very interested. Very interesting. I do see here Sean saying Danny from Meebits.score told us so soon about Meebits. Yeah, that's been in the making for a while, Danny. Sean, sorry. Please expound a bit more, because I've held and then nothing happened. I know they're doing 3D versions, if I'm not mistaken. Don't know. And I know that Bored Ape Yacht Club tweeted that they're working on Meebits next. So Meebits and Mecha Dogs. So please let me know more, because I'm really, really interested about that. All right, Cade, you happy to move on? Are we finished with the founder Zuki type thing?
I am.
All right, so this one's quite interesting. All right. So this is quite interesting, right? So first of all, we've got Magic Eden, and they are making amazing moves. Amazing move. First of all, just to go through it, first of all, their website is absolutely incredible. The statistics there and the tracking tools and everything on their website is phenomenal. Second of all, they launched ETH and Sol, right? They've got both chains coming. I know OpenSea did that first, but they were able to do that quickly thereafter, and they've launched some ETH projects there. I haven't seen any Sol projects launched on OpenSea, right? They've also got their launch pad Magic Eden, which is, even though they have made some mistakes, they've refined it. You now have to KYC, and they're really doing a lot there. They're working on so many positive things. So I'm really bullish on them. And I think the more that they carry on, it just seems like they're running circles around OpenSea as far as the quickness of development and changes and progression, which is key in this game. So I really am bullish on them. So another thing that they've done, we've been talking, I think, Cade, I think we spoke about it last week or the week before, about how SudoSwap and certain other X2Y2 are now allowing you to buy without having to pay the secondary royalties to the collections, because that isn't embedded in the smart contract, which I actually didn't know until we spoke about that SudoSwap one. It's almost like a gentleman's agreement between the marketplace and the project that they will get those royalties as specified, right? So what Magic Eden has said and what they're doing as a way to potentially try and combat this and protect the projects, which I feel is important, because you can choose to buy that project if they say that they've got a 50% royalty. You can choose to buy it, or you can choose to say no. It's a free market. But to have a project that says we demand a 2% royalty, and then to have technology saying, well, we can get around that and not give you what you said is the minimum, is a problem. So what Magic Eden has proposed is that they want to create something called Meta Shield. And what Meta Shield will do is that, and it's not for everyone, it's not like a blanket thing that they are applying. But what they're saying is that a collection can say that they want Meta Shield, meaning that if an NFT has been bought on SudoSwap or X2Y2 or any platform without royalties, they can do certain things to that NFT, like blur it out slightly so that everyone can see that it hasn't being traded with royalties and whatever it may be. So they're saying creators can modify listed NFTs. This targets sellers who list on zero royalties. So here they're saying that when a NFT is listed for sale with no royalties, they can flag it and visually show you. Not once someone's bought it, because then you're going to have an OpenSea situation where you buy it not knowing that there were no royalties, and all of a sudden your NFT gets shaded out. They're saying as it's listed, a collection can choose to show all buyers, listen, if you buy this, you're buying it without royalties, and if they knowingly buy it, then after show it is being bought without that. And whether you agree or disagree, I just think it's nice to see a marketplace responding quickly to something that is clearly a debate, and rolling out stuff or proposing stuff that can potentially avert that. And I think it was just a great thing to see in general.
I've got a really interesting perspective on this, because I'm myself an art collector and also NFT artist with my own collections. So I will be a director, directly affected by this. I think all of this responsibility lands on the artist. I think artists and creators have gotten away with the bare minimum, being the laziest sacks of shit, honestly, ever, delivering zero utility, zero benefits, zero anything, not even reaching out to the collectors, no nothing, expecting their amazing art to be enough. And I'm like, look, that's fine. But when something like this happens, don't be upset that you haven't created a community and a brand around, or you haven't created a community and a following and a love between your collectors and people who are fans of you and supporters of you. If you have done the work and built your brand and shown that you care about them, they're going to have no problem giving you a cut of their royalties. They're not going to go out of their way to make it so that they're going to give you 0%. And if they do, that's fine. I believe that that is within the power of the creator and the artist, and they should be making more of an effort to make a community, because of all the artists that I've collaborated with, I think it's a small percentage who have put in a little bit of effort to make a community. The rest have listed their NFTs. Great. They post things on Twitter every now and then nothing else. And I just think it's lazy. I mean, it's fine, but it's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're going to do that and you're going to complain about the royalties, when the royalties, in my opinion, are direct, add-on because of the brand you've built, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
Cade, I disagree so much. I'll tell you why. I think you speaking about a different thing, like the same thing, but like a lower priced art thing, support the artist, maybe you're right there. But if you think like let's just take the biggest, Bored Ape Yacht Club has got a massive, very strong community.
Well, it's a PFP
right?
collection. I'm talking about artists and creators.
Okay, no, fine. No, I
artists.
agreed. But I'm just saying, like, if you just think about it, and the most traded NFT on X2Y2 without royalties is Bored Ape Yacht Club. Why? Because they can save the most amount.
Sure.
2.5 or 5% of 100 ETH is 5 Ethereum or 2.5 Ethereum. It makes a big difference. So I think, like we were saying previously with regards to everyone being self-serving, that's effectively what we're saying. And most people, as sad as it sounds, so to here, if a guy's got the potential to save 1, 2, 3 Ethereum, there's no loyalty to anyone, no matter what you do and no matter how strong. So here we are, we're saying, you know, one of the use cases for blockchain technology and NFTs is finally that artists can get their fair share, whether that be visual artists who paint or draw, or whether that be singers who have been screwed over forever with downloads and there's no way to track it. This is a technology for you. And now we're coming and we're saying, despite you in your initial thing saying that you want a 2% royalty, knowing at the time that there was no way to get around that because you could only sell through OpenSea, and OpenSea 100% keeps to that. Now to have that taken away when you felt you were protected with this technology to get finally your small 2% on your product, I don't think it's good for the space in general, and I think putting that responsibility on the consumer is not a fair ask, because when it comes to high value stuff, they're going to say, look, it's 5 Ethereum.
Oh no, I agree with you here. I just think that because this happened and because it's on the table now, there's no world where we don't move in that direction. We are going to move in that direction. We're going to go into whatever is cheaper for everybody. I'm just saying.
I don't agree.
You don't.
I don't think it's going that way. No.
Oh, so you don't think it's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
No. I think what's going to happen is sort of what we're seeing. I think you're going to have some marketplaces fighting back, and I think you're going to have a lot of collections fighting back. So all it takes to, let's just use Yuga as an example. The next whatever, as soon they're launching staking of the ape coin. If you are a holder of a Bored Ape, you can stake it and earn tokens on it. If you're an ape coin holder, you can stake it in certain ways. All they need to do, so we're launching staking. Anyone who is purchased without royalties is not eligible. That will solve the problem overnight. Everyone, I'll pay. So that, and they're going to do that, because in the end of the day, here they're delivering endless value, and they are one collection that has up to date delivered endless value. And here these guys are saying, "F you, I'm not paying my 2%." I have no doubt, like zero, and I don't know anything for a fact. I don't talk to the Bored Ape Yacht Club Flooded. I'd love to. They're welcome on the show anytime. I've got no doubt they, in their next big thing, they're going to do a big, and good for them, rightfully so. If
that's the way it goes, that's a good point. Good point.
Those are the terms of our service. At the time we launched, it was 2.5%. No one else could get around that. Now technology's allowed people to get around that, and you guys who have made a fortune are doing it. Fuck you. You're not getting our next utility, and good for them. Because
but you saw how the responsibility lands on the Bored Ape Yacht Club team, though. My point there is that because this is on the table now, it's up to the creators, it's up to the artists, whoever is in charge of the collection,
to make your little artist with 100 things can't do a big FU. It doesn't have the same effect.
It doesn't have to be a fuck you. In a community of artists and one-of-one collectors, it's a different mentality. You're not in a flipping mentality. You're not looking to save a buck here and a buck there. When you're in the perspective of a collector, at least from my perspective, when I'm looking at it, I'm scrolling their page and I'm saying, okay, the floor is whatever it is, 0.3 ETH or whatever. That's the price. I'm just like, okay, it costs 0.3 ETH to become one of his collectors or her collectors. That's the only thought goes to my head. There's no, can I save this? Can I do this? It's like, no, 0.3 is the price. That's the price I'm going to pay to own the NFT. And I think that's the mentality of most collectors in the art space. I might be wrong, but I think that's the right space. And either way, regardless if it is or isn't, I still think that it's up to the creator and the artist to create a community. If that's their goal, if their goal is to have their art mean a lot, have a lot of value and intrinsic value and, weight in the NFT art scene or whatever, it's up to you to make that happen. You can't just put your art there and say it's special. No one cares if it's special. It's special if you put it out there and you get people to care about it. Then it's special. But if you don't put in the work to create that community and the value, I don't think it'll hold that value. That's just my thoughts on it.
Art is one thing that doesn't have to have community or utility. You like this beautiful picture that I did,
but now it does. A fish.
You like this beautiful picture that I did of a fish, the derivative from a collection we won't name, right? And you want to buy it and you want to put it on your wall. That's the end of the utility. Let's move away from art. Let's just say like music. Music was a big draw to NFTs, that every time that song is played, a percentage can be in the smart contract put aside, and every time it's traded, and that to some degree falls away. And I think long term we're hurting Web3 more than gaining by having these pseudo swaps and similar things which allow you to work around. And I think it negates their technology if there's ways to work around something as fundamental as the royalty systems. And I think the answer actually is to somehow, and I don't understand technically why it can't be in the smart contract. I don't. But there must be a way. Someone must fucking just put it in the smart contract. That's it. Going forward, every collections royalty somehow, I don't know why they haven't. There is a reason. I don't know why, but there's got to be, we've put people on the moon. I mean, there's a way to frickin' put a 2.5% royalty in the smart contracts.
No, I agree. It should be. We should not go into this zero royalty. I don't want it to go to zero royalties. My point was that if we end up, and that becomes like a main thing, a big player, big factor, then the responsibility has no choice but to fall on the artists and the creator to create some kind of community. But I don't want it to. Like, just for clarity, I want it to stay how it is. I'd much rather just get my royalty and not have to worry about it. But you know, we'll see what happens. I can't believe it's not, by the way. Same with you. I'm in the same boat with you.
I think possibly the thinking was, listen, there's only OpenSea, they're going to pay us. This way it allows us to tweak it and change it. Percentage-wise, we'll notify the community. We might reduce it, we might increase it, we don't know. This way it allows us to change it. Maybe that was the thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you wouldn't try to create a community Web 2, but that's the difference. It's not Web 2. It is Web 3. We are in Web 3, which is all about the creators, all about the community. That's what Web 3 is. That's the whole point. Like, that's why it's different.
The truth is, if you said to me, let's say I see a really nice NFT that I just like the art. I don't know the artist. I like the look of it. I want to have a one of one and I want to put it on my wall. If you said to me, in order to buy this and really get value, you have to join a Discord and sit there and talk to people. Fuck it, no. I really just like it. I want to put it on my freaking wall.
And I want to see that, though. You want to have seen that the artist is putting in the effort, though. Because otherwise, if it's a random person, I just
like the art. No.
How often do you say that, though? You just like the art enough to pay 1 ETH for it, though? Like,
but that's all these collections mooning at the moment. Art is really flying. Like 40 ETH for Damien Hirst and 90 ETH for Fidenza. People like the art. They want to blow it up massive.
If you're at the top, if you're at the very, very top, you don't need to worry. I still think if they did put in the effort, they would moon even more. If Beeple made his own thing and it was even more of a thing than it is now, which he is doing a great job. But if he did even more, I think the value would go up. I think for the 99.9% of artists who are down here at the bottom with no influence, no following, no one's going to buy their art. They have no choice but to put the responsibility on themselves, because they're not going to get to Beeple's level or some of these artists you're talking about, because they just like, I don't know what the factors are that get to the top. But most people don't get to the top, so they have to put in the extra work. Like, my art's never going to be at the level of Beeple unless I get to a Gary Vee level of status. Then my art, because it's not a collectible, it's not a thing you buy to trade and flip. It's just an art piece to have that's made by me. That's the only way I'm going to get to the top.
Yours is a ticket into your ecosystem and buying into your future. So yes, people do need to know about you, and people do need to have an interest in you. It's pictures of you and your journey. Yeah. So I completely get where you're coming from. And like from your vantage point, I agree. Yours is a ticket into Cade's ecosystem and everything Cade does in the future.
I just think it should be. I think every Cade artist project should be. I guess in my head, the way I'm doing it, I just think that I'm pioneering the way it should be done.
Obviously it's not. There's many different ways to do it, and there's many different reasons that people buy NFTs. So your community, yes, they really believe in you long term. They want to have a piece of that pie with you and be a part of that journey, and they buy your NFT, which happens to be a beautiful picture and art piece. Great. But I wouldn't classify that as the same as what I'm referring to art, and that's maybe the disconnect that's coming.
And I'm saying
right?
in 20 years, I think my project's going to be worth more than theirs because of the effort I'm putting in. So I think I'm right.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not even joking. No, I understand, because whereas my 20 ETH picture behind me, imaginary one of dots, is starting up here, but there's absolutely no change. Yours is starting down here, and slowly your brand increases and whatever, and that becomes more valuable. So long term, with this not moving, and you, even if you move slowly, you moving in 20, 30 years, yes, it may be fine. But I'm saying the type of person that's buying your thing, that's what they're buying into.
Sure.
Whereas the type of person that's buying the art is not thinking about anything. They don't want to know. They don't want to sit there and have coffee with Damien Hirst, or maybe they do, but that's not the reason they're buying it. They don't get any of his future. They really like him. They like the art, and that's it.
In the beginning, when my first collectors, when I first dropped my project, were exactly that, right? And they're also the same people who flipped my art pieces for like 0.03 ETH profit to sell into all the people who believe in me now, who 90% of them are diamond holders since the very first day. And I think the level of collector I have now is 10,000 times more deep and more of a thing than it was before, with all the RAM collectors who didn't know who I was, don't care. Some of them still have my NFT, and it's somewhere hidden in their wallet they forgot about 9 months ago when they bought it. And I'm telling you that those collectors are they're not gonna hold. Like, they're not gonna know the value of it. They're not gonna care about the value of it. And that's why I think if you're not gonna be Damien Hirst or something like people, which is not gonna be anyone, pretty much just gonna be 99.9% of people, if that's not you, and it's probably not, then in my opinion, you have to do something extra if you want your art to not go to zero. Your art will eventually go to zero unless you're a top artist. So I know I agree
with that point 100%. 100%. When you're starting at the bottom, you can't just rely on your picture being an amazing picture, because you don't have the name behind it. And unless you work hard and put consistent effort to build something to make that valuable, it won't be. So
everyone's good. Everyone's pretty good, and everyone's art is really good. So it's just like, if everyone's art is pretty good, then like, what's going to stick out? It's probably going to be the effort you put into your brand. But
unless you are one of those well-established top tiers, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything.
Correct. Oh,
all right. Disney? So two things I really like. I like Disney. I really do. I'm a shareholder of Disney. I have been for a long time. They make a lot of money off their movies. I'm not saying I buy it because I love Mickey Mouse. I like their company, and I think that they've cemented themselves with enough IP, including Mickey Mouse and whatever, to do really well. But also, I mean, what they've done with superheroes and that whole thing, and those movies gross an absolute fortune. Big fan of Disney. And I'm a big fan of Web3. Hence, I'm sitting here with my friend Cade. So the Web3 and Disney, what do you think, Cade?
I don't know anything about the story, but I'm a fan. I'm down. I think they could crush it if they really take it seriously.
It's a question mark. And do you like the thumbnail? I mean, that's the first question.
Oh, I like the thumbnail. Everything except the blur, and a little bit more blur in the background.
Yeah, we're gonna get more blur. We're gonna get more blur for sure. Okay, so Disney CEO confirms they have interest in the metaverse. Now, this isn't the first time. I actually remember reading, I think about 5, 6, 7 months ago, how many trademarks Disney has been filing for NFTs, metaverse, and all the rest of that. He has been saying for a very, very long time, the chief executive, Bob. Well, let me just be respectful. What's his surname? Bob Chapek, has been saying for a long time that they see this as being the future. Not that their physical parks will go away, but especially with COVID, we saw him coming out very strongly. Now, you must understand, those parks, they hire a fortune of people. It's a huge amount of land to maintain and water the garden and whatever. And they had to close down those parks for months during COVID. And even when they opened it again with restrictions, no one really went, or very few people. So they've had to think, okay, this is a risk to the park side, the physical park side of our business. Is there a way to mitigate that risk? And they think there is, and they think that way is the metaverse, to have a virtual Disney world in the metaverse, where you can go in and have experiences, and you don't need to travel to one of their parks or one of their destinations. So he has been saying this for a very, very long time, but he's said that they are, because I think the question would have been asked, okay, COVID's finished, or whatever, it's not affecting you properly anymore, your parks are open, do you continue to explore and develop these plans? And he responded with a resounding yes. Okay. So I'll just say here, a company as influential as Disney has to stay ahead of the current trends, and the speech by the CEO confirms this. By planning for the future, it can set standards for its competitors. In fact, the planning has already begun. As the past year, Disney has been quietly exploring how it can become involved in Web3. Well, not so quietly, because I heard about it separate to Web3. For example, earlier this year, Disney hired Mike White to lead the newly formed Next Generation Storytelling and Consumer Experience Unit. In addition, they also hired Mark Boson for their metaverse creative strategy. Notably, Mark spent 12 years at tech giant Apple before joining Disney. In an interview, he said, Disney is absolutely a lifestyle. The question is, how is our next-gen storytelling leveraging what we know about a guest uniquely in this Disney lifestyle? They serve unique experiences. So what do you think, Cade?
I think anyone who thinks that NFTs are stupid is literally at this point, I don't even have anything to say. I'm like, why do you think Starbucks is in this space? Why do you think Nike is in this space? Why do you think Adidas is in this space?
Starbucks isn't an NFT. It's leveraging blockchain technology.
That's what I'm saying.
So
though, like
blockchain
Web3
is the
NFT
future.
world. Sure. Like a Web3 NFT world. NFTs will be the entertainment side of Web3, right? So anyone who thinks it's not, I'm like, okay, well, how are you gonna debate when the top companies in the entire world are especially, they would literally just say this is stupid. And you're seeing every single company coming around to crypto. They're all eventually kind of coming into Web3. I'm like, all right, fam. Like, at what point are you just going to accept it and stop being an annoying little old person?
On top of that, the venture capital that's poured into the space in the last 2 weeks alone.
We're not in a bull run. I'm like, guys, you're in a fucking recession.
It's over $1 billion in the last 2 weeks that just I've heard about.
Yeah.
Over $1 billion. Never mind. I know VCs and I've seen the tweets, like Yossi Hassan, that guy that introduced me to NFTs. He's a VC tweeting, we're looking to invest. Please, if you know a good project, guys are hungry. Serious.
They want it. It's just silly. I'm like, I just don't like the one part I can't understand.
I understand it. I understand why. Because it's so volatile, bro.
No, not the volatility, but it's the idea that we're headed into a more digital version of today. If you believe that, which is almost impossible to refute at this point. I'm like, guys, everything is becoming more virtual. Like a cyborg future in the next couple hundred years is just not, it's not even arguable anymore at this point. Like we are always going to go more digital, and innovation goes where innovation breeds, and it just keeps going and keeps going. That's why technology does like a 2x every couple of years, right? Or 5 years or whatever it is. And I'm like, if you believe that, and then, eventually assets and money and all this stuff goes digital.
I just want to correct this. I have to, sorry to disturb you. I have to correct it because I heard you say it another time. I don't know if it was on my stream or when I watched you. It's even more than that. They say every year, in 1 year, you progress as much as you have in the last 10 years. Like it's like something crazy. So it's not like every 5 years. It's like almost doubling every 2 years, something like that. Even maybe less. It's like proper more than you think.
All right. Well, in that case, that's even adds to the argument. It's just how can you fight that? How can you fight that? Yeah. I just don't get it. I don't understand their arguments. Like, guys, we are headed to a more digital world. A metaverse is just a more digital version of today. So this literally is the future. And if digital assets are going to exist,
so much of last week with Google. Bro, I know that I'm right. I know that I'm right.
It's gonna be wild.
Google
Did you see the
metaverse.
Look at this. Look at this. I just posted this TikTok. I reacted to this video. So my friend Katrina made this video. There's apparently 7 rules to the metaverse that have already been made to the metaverse that doesn't exist yet.
It's supposed to be decentralized. Who the fuck made rules?
That was one of the rules, but it's just funny that there are 7 rules. I'm like, says who? So anyways, these are the 7 rules. You ready? All right.
I don't like rules.
Here we go. Shit.
Here are the 7 rules of the metaverse. 1, there is only one metaverse. 2, the metaverse is for everyone. 3, nobody controls the metaverse. 4, the metaverse is open. 5, it is hardware independent. 6, the metaverse is the network. 7, the metaverse is the internet.
This metaverse is going to be a massively commercialized world. That's just the way humans are. There's going to be token-gated things for everything. And look, I know what he's trying to say, but trying to make up rules for a metaverse that doesn't exist yet is absolutely crazy. Like, we don't know what it's going to look like. Is it going to look like Ready Player One? Is it going to look like Avatar? I don't know. One thing I do know is the metaverse is coming whether or not you like it or not. We are moving towards a more digital world. What's a more digital world? A metaverse. If you're one of those people who doesn't think the metaverse is coming, then you're the same person saying social media is not a real thing and people don't care about it. Yes, they do. Yes, they will.
Let's fucking go. I'm pumped. Let's go. When are we going on a trip to the metaverse, guys?
That's just my thoughts. I just thought it was weird that there were rules. I don't know who the fucking guy was who made it. She said his name.
I think rules is where she let herself down there, and it's probably clickbaity, but maybe characteristics of the metaverse. Because I actually agree with what she's saying. Like in general, I don't know if it will be like one metaverse. I don't agree. I think like,
it's a little bit silly to make rules like that. I'm like, who?
Yeah,
what?
No, but rules is wrong. These
Yeah.
are what I think some of the characteristics of the metaverse.
Well,
could
she was
be.
just reporting on it. The guy who made it made those rules. She was just like, "Oh, I found these 7 rules. I guess
no one can make. There's no one who can make rules in the metaverse. First of all, we
That's
don't
what
even
I'm
know.
saying.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just silly.
Interesting stuff. All right. You remember Luna? You remember I told you the one guy I know lost $100 million US.
It was a good thumbnail.
Well, I think Bianca made me too big. I should be a lot smaller in the bottom, personally.
I like it. I think it's good.
You like it?
Anything bigger? If anything bigger.
No, I want him to stand out. So this is the Terra Luna founder. Was flying absolutely high before the Terra Luna crash. Was also very cocky, to be quite honest, about his success, daring people to try and bring him down, his blockchain down, and all the rest. I think possibly the success got to him. I think it's very hard to give someone billions of dollars and not have the success get to you. So that's just that side. But South Korea, who's no joke, to be quite honest, you don't want to be arrested in South Korea.
Yeah.
Has issued an arrest warrant against Do Kwon. Officially issued an arrest warrant against him. Regulators around the world have been carrying out investigations against Terraform Labs and his founder Do Kwon and other related parties. Earlier this year, Terra Luna and its native stablecoin UST shed most of their value. This resulted in massive losses for investors. The same had a ripple effect on the broader ecosystem and the market as a whole, and this led to the market becoming extra choppy. Pre the latest development, South Korean authorities have issued a warrant of arrest for Do Kwon, indicating that they intend to arrest the Terra founder. Recent Bloomberg reporter noted the court in Seoul issued a warrant for Do Kwon and 5 others, according to a text message from the prosecutor's office. Saying that he violated the Capital Violation Act. Again, this is just an arrest warrant. Doesn't, once that happens, there's obviously trials and things like that. If it happens, they have to, he might, I don't know, leave. I don't know if he's there, whatever it may be. However, it is interesting. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't know enough about whether the collapse of Terra Luna was intentionally done and if it was his fault. The shows that I watch, including this guy who lost $100 million, the show's called Crypto Banter. The guys run Nunye. They've got an incredible crypto show. They've got, I think, over 1 million followers. Run used to be on CNBC. He was the first crypto show on CNBC. He's a South African guy, was very successful in business, retired, sold out his marketing company for hundreds of millions of rands and put everything into crypto. And he was a big supporter of Luna and Do Kwon, and he lost over $100 million US personally. Ran Nunye, there's actually a very interesting video where he speaks about that day and what it went through his mind and how he bounced back and all the rest of it, which I highly suggest that you watch. Very interesting. However, he was very much behind him. So he and I listen to him almost daily, Crypto Banter. I really do enjoy it, and it's entertaining and there's good facts. So he was saying closer to the time of this, a few months ago, that it does appear that there was a lot of money being taken out by Do Kwon. This is all alleged. I don't know for sure, but he seemed to be pretty sure about it. Whatever it may be, interesting, good to see, I think. If there is wrongdoing, good to see. If not, hopefully he'll be given a fair trial if he's ever caught. Don't know. What do you think?
Well, it looks like Ziggy says he allegedly sold all his Luna assets a few months before the crash, so potentially he had some insider knowledge about something going on. So if that's true, then he's probably going to get fucked. This reminds me of.
It's alleged, right?
Yeah, it's alleged. Yeah. This reminds me of the Quadriga. Do you know Quadriga's story?
No.
So I watched this Netflix documentary a few months ago. Quadriga is basically an exchange in Canada, and they basically were one of the first crypto exchanges, and they made all this ton of money, and they were leveraging all their money. And then, the market started to crash. They realized, shit, all our money's leveraged. We're about to lose everything. So they were like, shit, close all withdrawals, like close all deposits, everything. And they shut down. Founder disappears. They have all these warrants out for arrest, like find this guy, find this guy, find this guy. Never heard from him again. Nobody got their money back. And the entire situation just more or less just paused, and it's still on pause, and it's been like 20 years or something, or 10 years or whatever. So that's it gives me a little bit of echo on that. He gives me a similar vibe of like sketchy-ish, just because of all the stories that are. I don't know anything though.
But he was a hero before, and I'll tell you something. Run really knows his stuff. Like, he proper goes to all the crypto conferences, talks at all of them. He knew Do Kwon personally. He's got pictures with him, and he really believed in what he was doing and everything before that.
The same with the Quadriga story. Everyone loves the guy.
So much so,
yeah.
But Run knows his stuff in crypto, so much so that he invested over $100 million of his own money. Well, he invested a lot less than that, but at its peak, that is what that money was worth. So maybe he invested $10 million, still a huge amount of money, right? In him. So look, it's really interesting. What I would do if I was Do Kwon is I would take some of my billions, have a whole lot of plastic surgery, get a private jet, get the fuck out of wherever I am, and never be seen again. And
Me too.
Enjoy my life on an island with some fans. What are they? Those palm leaves, people palm leaving me all day and bringing me cocktails.
I would disappear.
And whatever.
I would with that amount of money, I would just take a couple $100,000 with me, and I would disappear. I would use anything I can. I would use all the money I can to completely disappear and leave. But it's interesting. The Quadriga story is very similar. The founder was very, very public. Everyone loved him. He was a very nice guy. He was very well spoken. A lot of people invested all their money in him, and then he literally just disappears. He's like, hey, I'm going to go on this trip. And apparently he dies, and people are like, wait, you're not dead. There's no way you're dead. Like, that's just the most random thing ever. Right when the market crashes, he just dies, apparently, and never seen again. So it's just, I don't know. Also, what happens, but it's crazy. In a bull run, dude, people don't give a fuck. People will invest their money into whatever's making them more money, and they do not think twice. They think they do the research, but they do just enough research to give them enough, green light to just go ahead and throw their money in, because they just see the numbers, man. They can't help it. And I understand it. You can't help it. When there's that much money being printed, I see why people dumped all their money in UST. And now that they look back, that was so silly. That was so over leveraged. That was such bad decisions. Like, yeah, but you weren't thinking those things in the bull market.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, I unapologetically am praising Run Nunya. I really am. I respect him a huge amount. I respect what he's achieved in Web2. And I respect anyone who comes out every day and makes content. And he makes a lot of content and builds something. And he's built something fantastic in crypto banter. So yes, I unapologetically praise him and what he's built over there. For sure. I really do. All right. I used to absolutely love the Chicago Bulls, bro. When I was growing up, I loved them. They were my team in the days of Rodman and Scotty Pippy, and we had Jordan, and they had the absolute team. So I love seeing their logo, and so they have 23 NFT artists busy reimagining their logo. They launched an NFT collection called the Chicago Bulls Legacy Collection that highlighted its 6-year championship history. Now it's back in Web3 for more. Starting later this month, the basketball franchise will launch an NFT set featuring 23 one-of-one artworks reimagining its logo. Here are all the details. Number one, Bulls logo has been around since 1966. 23 Web3 artists selected will reimagine the logo. Bobby Hundreds, Gang Yang and Dead Fellas founders are participating. None of the NFT logos will replace the actual Bull logo. So it's just a collection of logos, different logos that are being, taken by, reimagined by people. And also, I mean, Dead Fellas is big in the space. Bobby Hundreds is also big in the space. So they've come together with a whole lot of people who are native to Web3, which I think is great. 40% of the proceeds are going to the Bulls, another 40% to the artists, 10% to the NBA, and 10% to a non-profit charity.
Yeah, one of the projects I want to pick up in this bear run at some point is the Atom Bomb Squad. I really, really like their brand. I think it's a slept-on project, honestly. Well, not slept on, but their floor is like 0.2 something, I think. And they have like 25,000 in their collection. They're like, people don't realize how big of a brand Adam Bomb Squad is. Like, it's a massive, massive brand, well before NFTs. And so, like we were talking about earlier, I invest in the team and the competency of the people running the project more than anything. And that's a project I think is super, super slept on. It's just in general, from like, if you were to like rate brands and stuff in the Web3 space, I'd put them up there with the top. They've collaborated with Boyd Yacht Club, I think, actually, for clothes or something even, right?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a collab with Yuga. What I do know is that when they came out, they were the first project to, they launched the NFTs. Certain traits, you would get royalties when they sold clothing with that picture on it, because they had a clothing company first, a very successful clothing company first. So let's say you had like the watermelon atom bomb. They would say, okay, all watermelon atom bombs, we're launching a range of watermelon in the next collection. Any sales will give you a small percentage of those sales. And then when it came, they sat at 0.1, bro, for the longest time. I had like 7. I really believe it was one of my first
I had 4 of them.
And I sold, and the last bull run, they went to 1.5 Ethereum.
I fucking
and
know,
now,
bro.
like,
I know.
Like everything, they've pulled back to 0.2, but I agree with you. I think very interesting. As I've said so many times, when Web 2 companies come into Web 3 and do it well, I'm bullish. So I am bullish on Atom Bomb long term. But ever since that, when I sold at 1.5, when I sold at 0.1, I'm like,
I sold them all, I think, around 0.3 or something like that. But I minted all 4, so I made profit on all of them. And I didn't sell them at the. I remember it was another project in that time period. I bought it was a Gala Games project. I forget what the exact project. It's some kind of gaming thing. And I bought and sold, maybe made like 0.2 or 0.3 profit, and then they literally went to like 2 ETH. And I was just like,
I hate it.
God damn it!
And when I buy, it goes to the 0 or half or whatever.
But I'm gonna do a review on Atom Bomb Squad. I forgot about that project. I need to do a review on. They're one of like the 4 projects I haven't done yet. Them. I want to do Sheldon. He's another NFT YouTuber, and I need to do Meme Land. And I think that's pretty much it. After that, I've pretty much reviewed everybody. After that, so I need to do that. I'll probably do that today, actually. This review video.
So this is quite interesting. Dead Fellas and Wrangler jeans. I mean, my first thing is like, I don't know how. I just know in South Africa, Wrangler's not a well respected. It's not like a Levi's or a Diesel's. I don't know there. Maybe you can tell me, Cade. Is Wrangler a big brand in the States?
I only know of Levi. They're the only ones I ever buy anyway. So I've never heard of Wrangler. But cool, good thumbnail too.
No, I mean, the question is any collab a good collab? Like Web 2, Web 3, it doesn't mean it's a good collab. Maybe, like, I wish I knew more. Maybe I'm wrong and someone can tell us, Wrangler's been around forever and they sell more jeans than anyone else. And okay, you buy nice jeans, but most people wear Wranglers and the farmers wear Wranglers. I don't know. But Dead Fellas, who I look at as one of the ones that will pump in the next bull run. Not financial advice, but I do believe that very strongly. Amazing team, and I think are here to stay. They have collabed with Wrangler. So let's read it to you. The American denim fashion brand Wrangler is partnering with top non-fungible token collection Dead Fellas. The partnership was announced via a tweet earlier this week. To jumpstart the collaboration, Dead Fellas also revealed that they'll be hosting a competition. The competition will let Dead Fella holders and fans work together for the chance to win both physical and digital prizes. Dead Fella's a collection of 10,000 NFTs, which we know. The move from Wrangler to partner with Dead Fellas isn't the brand's first foray into the NFT space. Earlier in the year, Wrangler dropped its first NFT collection titled Mr. Wrangler. Bro, I've never heard of that. Have you?
Nope.
It was launched on marketplace ltd.inc. I've never heard of that. Have you?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm happy they're now coming to Dead Fellas, who's got better experience than when they tried it the first time around. So that's at least a positive from the Wrangler side of things. Is this a positive from Dead Fellas side? Don't know. But we do see fashion brands are embracing Web3 big time. Goes on to tell, we all know Prada's in the space, we all know Nike's in the space, we all know all of that. So interesting to see another well-respected, I think, Web 2 brand. I have heard of Wrangler before, and I'm South African, and I've heard of them. So I would say a decent brand coming into the Web 3 space through a collab with Dead Fellas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I honestly don't know too much about Wrangler. I don't. I've definitely heard of them, but I don't know any. I don't know if it's like a good thing or bad thing. It's more about the narrative around it anyway. Like what people think about it. And I think if you hear a word like "oh, big Web2 company," I think people are probably like, "Oh, nice." Like let me see. Let me see what Deadfellas is at right now.
I can tell you,
Deadfellas. Oh, you can tell me.
0.75.
Yeah, they held pretty strong.
Like around there, could be between 0.7 and 0.8. I check the floors on collections I'm interested in every day. So I've got a bookmark folder. I'll actually share my screen because it's like just nice if you don't do this.
Do you think the biggest projects this next bull run are going to be the OG projects that have sustained, or do you think it's going to be new projects that the new meta will be something else?
I think in the bull run the old OGs will come back, but I think now the money's to be made in the new ones that are announcing venture capital. To be quite honest,
like quick in and out.
Yeah, because the blue chips aren't moving at all. But I think when we do go bull, the blue chips a lot of the blue chips, like the real blue chips, will come back. So this is what I do. Anything I'm interested in the floor price, I've just got bookmarked under a folder, and then I just go open all 53, and then literally just look at the floor. So every day, like once a day, it takes me so quick. Literally, interesting, and that's it. And check them. So just make a folder, and then you can open all of them, and Bob's your uncle. Bit of alpha. All right, super rare. Super rare to launch in real life NFT gallery for New York Fashion Week. So I've actually heard a whole lot of stuff is happening for New York Fashion Week. Like a lot of NFT projects are going to be there. And I think that's really cool because I do think the more that NFTs are out there in real life events. So it's not just like NFT New York, which is only an NFT event. New York Fashion Week is a Web2 event. It's going to be featuring Web3s, and I'm really, really happy about that. I think it's bullish for the space. So Super Rare is known for being a very, very hard platform to get on. You've got to really show what you're doing. It's an art platform. Great artists are on there, Web3 artists. A lot of the ones that we hear about that launch secondary and other collections on OpenSea all started on either Foundation or Super Rare. So it is a good fit for New York Fashion Week. And I'll just tell you what they say here. With New York Fashion Week set to get underway, many organizations are choosing to tie in with Web3 elements to traditional shows and galleries. Super Rare, a leading NFT art marketplace, announced on Instagram 2 days ago that they will be joining the fun. Together with Gucci, it will launch a crypto art couture gallery in Soho, and here are the details. And it gives you, this is linked in the description if you are in that area and interested to go, from the 9th of September to the 14th. Oh, so it's actually finished 2 days ago. Sorry about that. I wonder how it went because I haven't seen anything since then.
I haven't either.
But yeah, I just think it's cool to see Web3 brands in the Web2 physical event space.
Yeah. And we're pretty much, for everyone who's watching, we're pretty much in a game of sit and wait, hurry up and wait mode until the world until NFTs are just chill and most people know about them and heard about them, participate. Until then, like, we're basically just riding on these short waves of like, oh, like this is super cool. Then it's like, okay, well now we're bored. Then it's like, oh, that's super cool. Then it's like, okay, now we're bored. And I think it's just gonna be a lot of that. So for people who have their expectations somewhere else, keep them low, because that's how it's going to be. I think until for a while, it's going to be these short pumps of like, oh, that's super sick, and then it fades a little bit, and people, it's the real issue is when people get too excited and then too down. The goal for this, until NFTs are a huge thing, the goal is to just let your bar here, put the bar in the middle, and then when you get really excited, stop getting excited like here. And then when you're here and it starts to go low, don't let yourself go below this. Like if you're hitting at a 7 out of 10 normally, don't ever get above a 10. Like try and stick in the 8 to 9 when you're really euphoric, and when you're really low, try not to go below a 5, because you know it's just going to come right back anyway, and we're just going to teeter in this area, and it might just be better for like your mental health.
I agree.
Yeah, because if you get too emotional, if you get too emotional, you're just gonna get fucked. And after you've been here if you've been here more than like 2 months, you see how the ways kind of work. You're like, oh, so like this happens, like everyone gets excited for a little bit, and then there's FUD, everyone gets really upset for a little bit, and then it just repeats over and over and over and over again.
For sure. And Ziggy, we agree completely. The issue is 100% macro. And obviously, when macro is so down, then risk on assets get heavily affected. And what is the biggest risk on asset? First of all, you got crypto, but even more so than Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are not altcoins, is NFTs, like more risky, right? So we're at the lowest totem pole. We know there's a whole lot going on. I mean, between Russia, China's economy's fucked, UK's economy's fucked, US economy's fucked, Australians, all the big players. The inflation
China
is
might be
higher than
real
ever.
fucked. I've heard China might be real fucked.
Yeah, China is real fucked. The only
That's
good thing
scary,
going for
dude.
China is that they can make up their own inflation numbers. So they
True,
came out
true.
yesterday or the day before. They said, "Oh, inflation has improved by 10%." It's like, no, it hasn't. You just say whatever you want, right?
That stuff, dude, that stuff is crazy to me, how countries are able to keep their entire population not knowing what's really going on. Like the fact that that's possible at this stage of like the world is shocking. I'm like, so they actually think that this is what's happening. I mean, I know there's propaganda everywhere and everybody is a victim of some type of propaganda in every direction, but the fact that they literally don't have all the facts available, that is scary to me. Like the fact that their internet is controllable. You can't quite search up anything you want because they put limits on
for
it.
sure.
That's crazy.
But you know, it's really just an interesting thought is that we all, and I know you're saying it to some degree, but obviously not like a North Korea, but each one of us are in our own echo chambers,
Sure.
like in every way. If this, first of all, anything we search is tailored. The next results that come in adverts are tailored to it. Your interest that you show on social media, that's what's fed to you. That's what you see. The school you went to, the upbringing you had, you only really mixed with the people from the same area just because geolocationally, that's where you were. So we all, to some lower degree, in that echo chamber, the same way that like whoever's being censored and only being fed certain information is, obviously not to that extent, but to some way we are. And then Ziggy's just agreeing with what you were saying, Cade, and adding to it, and I agree with what Ziggy's saying as well. A lot of people have been burnt in the space, from the perspective of investing in new projects, thinking the team had good intentions, was going to do well, only to find out it didn't. So people are being more selective in what they invest in. And obviously, to add on to Ziggy's point, what he's not saying, which I'm sure he'll agree with, is that there's a lot less people active in the space. Like at the peak of it, we were seeing active users on OpenSea over 1 million. Now we're lucky to see 200,000 a month are active. So, and that's wallets. So that's probably 50,000 people. So we all freaking selling our bags. And of those, how many people are actually even like doing more than a couple of transactions, like here or there, selling one or two things? How many guys are actually busy actively trading and buying and selling? Not many. So that also makes it.
It's literally just a few thousand people. And it's not even just the fact that people are evolving. I would argue that people aren't really evolving. They're going to make the exact same mistakes they made last time. I mean, I did it too. It took me like 3 cycles to really figure out, oh, fuck, I made the same mistake all 3 times here. And I think that's just how it is. And when the market returns and there's euphoria again, you will see the exact same people, because it happened, dude. Like I remember when I started making videos at the end of the summer, when the bull run returned and there was a fall, 2 or 3 pumps in the fall, 2 or 3 pumps in the winter, and then we crashed all the way down. Every single time we went bearish for a few weeks, I would make the exact same shit would happen. There'd be new people who enter the space. They make the exact same mistakes all over again. And so because we're in this echo chamber of just a few thousand people participating, it's these people that aren't going to make the same mistakes. But the issue is when new people enter this space, they all make the same mistakes we used to make. And that's why you can bet on the same things happening. That's why it's so predictable. When we're like, no, when the merge happens, ETH will crash, because we know that's how it works. Because all the retail people who don't know any better all make the same mistake every single time. And we already know the people who are here know the mistake they're going to make. And so that's why, if you watch people like Elliot Trades or Benjamin Cohen, you know what's probably going to happen for the most part. And you're banking on people who don't know what they're doing being your exit liquidity. And that's where we're at, right? We're just in a market where there's not enough people here. So yeah, you're right. It's just like a complicated explanation of it, but.
No, I agree 100%. This one is especially for you.
Let's go.
I know that you've stopped making your own food and you're now ordering from, how do I pronounce it? Chipotle.
Chipotle, dude. Best decision of my life. Saving me so much money and time is crazy.
So how about this? Are you, instead of ordering your real lunch, what about a metaverse lunch from Chipotle?
If it gives me a benefit, like I said in the Starbucks video that I made the other day, if drinking Starbucks in the metaverse boosts me in some way, shape, or form where it's beneficial to me, I will drink Starbucks in the metaverse. And I like, in the same spirit, I will buy Chipotle burritos in the metaverse if it brings me some kind of benefit.
So what they're saying is they're the first. So let me just read it to you so I don't paraphrase incorrectly. California-based restaurant chain Chipotle Mexican Grill became the first restaurant to debut a new menu item in the Roblox menu. Okay. The garlic Coachella steak sounds delicious.
No,
features tender cuts of steak, seasoned with garlic and peppers and topped off with fresh cilantro and lime. It was launched through the Chipotle Grill Simulator experience in Roblox and will be available in real life at selected Chipotle restaurants across the US and Canada.
It's terrible. I had it
Is
yesterday.
It not nice?
It's not good. It tastes like shit.
Sounds delicious.
No, it tastes like I'm eating at like an expired Moe's location. It's disgusting. It's like...
Well, it had to come all the way from the metaverse kitchen to your door. So maybe that's why it's not tasting great.
No, I just ordered at Chipotle yesterday. I went into the line and I got the new steak, and I was I'm just saying I'm disappointed that of all the different things they could have chosen, they chose the worst steak they've ever made in the history of Chipotle, and they put that into the metaverse.
So you just ordered it on the menu, had no idea that it's been featured in Roblox?
Yeah, it's new. It was just like the new steak, and they're like, "Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try it." And I got it, and after the first bite, I almost went back and bought another one with the normal steak because it was so bad. I just kind of forced it down. It really tasted like shit. I don't know why. It just tasted kind of like shit. It tasted kind of old, and I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird taste. Didn't taste like what I expected, I guess, but. Wait, so how does it work? What exactly are they doing? So they've just so
in Roblox, you've got a restaurant, you can sort of make food and whatever. So they've become the first company to feature one of the real life menu items, this new menu item on the menu in Roblox. So it's almost like a marketing campaign to get people to talk about it. It's working with you and me. But really what it is they've launched in real life, they've launched a new menu item. And one of the ways they're marketing it is they were able to get it featured on the Roblox menu.
Gotcha. Cool stuff. I mean, I'm a fan of them doing
Interesting.
But
yeah. Look, I know you do too. I just like to see, Web2 brands adopting different Web3 marketing. I mean, this is a new field of marketing. This is marketing in the metaverse, right?
Yep.
Roblox isn't the metaverse, but it's a metaverse and a successful one. And here you're seeing that Roblox is able to sell advertising space on their pretend menu in their pretend restaurant in the metaverse to Chipola's who want to make a big noise about their new item on their menu. It's a very interesting case study on possible ways in which marketing is going to go in the future. You used to take out a newspaper ad or a radio ad, or if you're a big brand, a TV ad, and that will to some degree still continue, the TV side or online banners and whatever. But now another way is to take a very successful metaverse with a lot of eyeballs, Roblox, and to feature your special on their menu, or to have a poster, about your new clothing range in another part of the metaverse. It's interesting to me because, my thing is marketing, and I find this really, really interesting.
Yeah, I wonder who the big winners of the Web3 marketing world is going to be. Is it going to be the Web2 marketers, like all the 25-year-old kids who learned e-commerce and drop shipping? Are they going to be the ones who take over the Web3 marketing world, or who do you think it's going to be?
I think initially there is a huge amount of marketing money and budget that could be used by the people who know what's going on in the space. I do think when the big marketing companies, TBHWA, Ogilvy, whatever you rattle on forever, realize that their clients are spending a percentage of the budget that used to go to them, paying Cade and Philip to get their Web3 strategy going, they will hire either Cade and Philip or people who know that and offer that internally. But initially, initially there is that first mover advantage of guys in the space. That's I think I can offer huge value in general because I'm involved in marketing. I've got a BCom marketing degree. I've got a corporate gift promotional clothing company. We do banners and display and clothing and gifts and whatever. So sure, we can help you also with your Web3 marketing. And that's part of the reason that I'm doing this. Is I do feel that there's a fit between my in real life business and this, and I do want to be the guy that the brand who's already trusting me with all their clothing and whatever for the World Cup that they BP Premier League. We are the official South African sponsor of all that merchandise. BP's already trusted me for that. I'll let them know. Look, if you want to get something involved here at the right time, and you feel that this fits your brand, then I can guide you.
Yeah, and that's where your
so I love seeing.
The reputation is huge.
Yeah, exactly, reputation. But I love seeing things like this because it's just another case study. Obviously, like I don't have clients that are restaurants. It's not my, side. But it's just interesting to see a real life application of a Web 2 company, a big Web 2 company, putting some of their marketing towards Web 3. It's interesting. Yep. It's interesting to me.
I agree. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff.
For sure. So, Cade, my friend, that's the end of my articles. Just do this for everyone.
Nice.
If you have any questions, let us know. Ziggy, thank you for all the contributions. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you. I look forward to this the whole week. Cade, thank you for being my wingman in this every week.
Always.
Guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe on my channel, on Cade's channel. Follow us on Twitter. Join our Discords. Stay safe. Be nice to each other. And we will see you next week.
Peace,
Cheers,
fam.
guys.
Like the video, subscribe.